Hi, it's Jim Merritt with Jim Merritt's Indiana Podcast. Going to visit Fort Wayne today. Going to visit with the Chamber of Commerce of Allen County. They call it the Greater Fort Wayne, Inc. And the second stop is with Judge Wendy Davis and talk about some innovative programs that are going on that I participated with, in fact. Third stop is with Deb Lambert with Byron Health Systems. This is really an interesting program they have, and they have people from 24 years old all the way to 96. And it's a place that I really think that could be a model for really eliminating homelessness in the state of Indiana. I hope you enjoy this podcast. These are all types of little stories that we have, and these three stories I think you're going to learn from. Welcome to another episode of Jim Merritt's Indiana. I'm Jim Merritt. We're in Fort Wayne today, and I am so glad that my friend Brenda Gerber Vincent has helped me get to know a little bit more about Fort Wayne, and she is the Vice President of Community and Corporate Impact.
Correct.
For the Greater Fort Wayne Inc., which is the Chamber of Commerce for the area of Allen County, and is to do everything for businesses. And they have great relationships in our community in Fort Wayne. And I have a very soft spot in my heart for this beautiful city. And today we're going to talk a little bit about what is going on with the actual chamber as we see in central Indiana, but also we're going to talk about Fort Wayne United with Director Irick Headley. I'm very excited about it. For those of you that want just a little bit of context in central Indiana, Pastor Harrison runs the 10-Point Coalition in our fair city in Indianapolis, and that's pretty much what is going here, Irick. And would you talk a little bit about what the initiatives? I understand the United Front initiative, but what's the essence of Fort Wayne United? And talk a little bit about the relationship you have with the police department, because as we know in Indianapolis, the 10-Point Coalition really isn't connected with the city in any way other than they try to have maybe a dotted line, if you will, when you talk about organization charts. But talk to me about how United works with the city of Fort Wayne.
Well, first, thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it. It's an honor to sit down and talk to you about our efforts here in Fort Wayne, and such a privilege to be working with Brenda and her team at Greater Fort Wayne. And really, it's truly about partnership. So Fort Wayne United was launched from the mayor's office, Mayor Tom Henry's office. So a lot of what we do is not significantly different than the 10-Point Coalition in Indianapolis. But because of where it has been launched from, there's some things we had to put in place that Indianapolis did not have to put in place.
Right, and there is a direct connection with the city.
Absolutely,
yes.
Because I work for the city.
You work for the city?
Yes, I'm an employee of the city of Fort Wayne.
That's outstanding.
It is outstanding to really see that a city puts these initiatives in place. A city is very invested into the populations that are typically disenfranchised. So when we look at the issues, when we look at violence and all that surrounds violence, we try our best to address the root causes of violence: health, education, employment, criminal justice is a component of that on the back end of it. And so that's what our initiative is all about. Mm-hmm. And so the 10-Point Coalition, we brought that from Indianapolis. Reverend Harrison has done it for 20 years. He's done an amazing job of building a very grassroots effort that in some neighborhoods have gone all the way down to 0 homicides that were once at 20 homicides, 15 homicides. Mm-hmm. And so when we saw that it was a missing element of our framework. You know, we have a lot of the system leaders at the table. We have the programmatic individuals and the executive directors at the table, but we didn't have a street component truly engaging the neighborhoods that needed that support most. Mm-hmm. And so our 10-Point Coalition was really that exact model that we needed to have a holistic initiative to really address all components of our community and the violence that's in it.
Brenda, talk a little bit about how Greater Fort Wayne works with organizations such as United.
Absolutely. As Greater Fort Wayne Inc., we are the economic development arm as well as the chamber, as you pointed out, for Allen County. At Greater Fort Wayne Inc., we grow jobs, wages, and the economy. We're the third fastest growing metro in the region, and the momentum, you can feel it. Fort Wayne is on the move. And when we partner with people like the city of Fort Wayne and the county and the 10-Point Coalition and Fort Wayne United, it just makes us all stronger. I mean, Greater Fort Wayne Inc. represents 9,000 businesses in Allen County, and we take that work very, very seriously. There are a lot of people who wake up every day and that's their main focus, is to make sure how we can support the businesses who employ the people in our community.
Well, as everybody who watches my podcasts, I like the word bold.
Yes.
And you've got that on your website.
We are bold. We are.
And
we don't back down from that.
No. And talk a little bit about, you have several initiatives that I believe are so timely. And will withstand the test of time. But talk about what your favorite initiative is going on.
It's a lot of pressure.
United Front.
Yeah,
I saw that.
Yeah,
let's talk a little bit about that.
I would love to talk about United Front, especially because of Greater Fort Wayne's involvement. What's interesting is you talk about the boldness. Most of our initiatives is really a response to a call, to a need. Our 10-Point Coalition, there was a need in the community that we responded to. Our live sessions, there was a need that we responded to. United Front is no different. What took place around the country last summer after the brutal murder of George Floyd, many communities called, but nobody answered. And so we answered with United Front. We didn't answer with pointing a finger and you're racist and this person's racist and I'm a sellout. We didn't answer the call with that. We answered the call by bringing individuals together who wanted to be a part of the solution and saying, let's learn together, right? Republicans, Democrats, black, whites, let's put those things aside and let's truly figure out what is the common denominator between all of us, and that's humanity. And so United Front puts all of us in a room and it really puts us in a safe place to talk about these issues and learn and grow and figure out some steps forward. So we're excited about it. It's something that we've hired a tremendous expert. His name is Dr. Pascal Lusambe, and he's put his life into studying these issues, studying these problems, but more importantly, studying how to come up with a solution. And we believe the solution is this curriculum that we've built United Front around, which is a shared humanity, which you and I might look different. You might live on a different side than I do. You might even drive a different car than I do, right? Brenda and I were just talking about cars. Brenda might drive a different car than I do. We're both Toyota people. You might be a Ford person, but at the end of the day, the human being behind that steering wheel is what we want to focus in on. Is the eyes, the hands, the foot, not the mechanism and not the mechanical thing, but the heart behind that steering wheel, right? And that's what United Front is all about. So we're excited about what has happened. Not only have we responded to the call, but we've really seen that the call was very strong and our response was needed. We have over 7,200 leaders.
Wow.
In this county.
7,200 leaders.
7,200 who have said, hey, we're
in Allen County or the surrounding?
Outside of Allen County. We've got leaders, and Brenda can talk more about it.
In northeast.
Around the country.
Around the country.
We've got a fingerprint now. We're looking for a footprint. We've got a fingerprint now.
That's pretty good.
In Chicago, Ohio, in many different cities around the country. Because again, it's not only Fort Waynians that are looking for something like this. It's humans. Human beings are looking at this and saying, that's exactly what I need. I don't know how to take that step. And because you don't know how to take that first step does not make you a racist. It makes you a human being that does not know how to take the first step, but you have a desire to. United Front is helping so many leaders to say, let's take that step together, hand in hand, together. We're not talking about it anymore. We've been doing this in Fort Wayne. So now we've changed this from a Fort Wayne initiative to Fort Wayne is the headquarters for United Front. As we branch out, as we meet the needs of other communities who need this, it's been amazing to watch.
Well, in the last year, it's been a year now, everybody has been in paralysis because of the pandemic.
Yeah.
And I see this initiative that you are the star on, as being so invaluable for people coming out of their houses. People have been locked up in their houses, and there will be a incredible time frame where people are going to have to get used to the world again.
Yeah.
And is that something that you're very focused on when people do get out on their front porches and they are mingling with other people, going back into the office setting?
Right.
Are your initiatives kind of working towards that?
Yeah, so we've hired a gentleman by the name of Greg Smith Causey, and that's one of his focuses, is how do we re-engage, how do we rebuild, because COVID impacted us too at Fort Wayne United.
Oh, COVID in fact impacted everybody.
It did. Well,
Yeah.
we were impacted. So we hired an individual now who's going to be focused on exactly that.
Mhm.
With United Front, it's not only the individuals who were locked up in their homes physically, but locked up in their hearts emotionally.
Right.
And so we want to, quite frankly, this may sound bad, but to me it's more important to bring the hearts out of those homes, the
Mhm.
hearts out of those people,
Mhm.
and start to talk about these issues and find solutions. We've been having a lot of conversations for years. You know, when we talk about conversations, it's, oh, we need to start the conversation. Well, a lot of us have been talking about this before. We've been doing this for 5 years here in Fort Wayne under the umbrella of Fort Wayne United. So conversations are not the only thing,
Right.
but progress after the conversations, the right conversations, the trust that is built in those conversations is truly where we make the most progress. And so, yes, we want people to come out of their homes, but we also want the hearts to come out of people.
Well, you raise a really good question in my mind. Is how are the programs going? Are our relationships with Black, White? And you talk about the big time crisis riots in late May. But underneath, it strikes me that lots of progress is going on with relationships and people getting along. Do you feel that way?
Yeah, I think it's, to be transparent and to be totally candid, I think it's who you talk to. I think it really is who you talk to. You have some individuals, just speaking about Fort Wayne, that would say, no, we're at the highest level of tension, right? And you have some others that would say, no, I think we're in the best place because some things have been exposed. Regardless, even if we are in a worse condition, it pivots us to be in the best position to make some change and to make some progress. So I'm encouraged. I'm absolutely encouraged. You know, you go to a doctor and the doctor says, hey, you got heart issues. Well, now you got an opportunity to fix it. So we have an opportunity to fix it, and that's what United Front is doing. I want Brenda to tell you this amazing quote that I wrote down, but I don't want to say it because it's more powerful coming out of her mouth. She talks about what our community.
Brenda Gerber.
About getting to work.
Brenda Gerber obviously, Greater Fort Wayne Inc. is one of the backbones for United.
Absolutely.
And you two have a great working relationship. Just tell us a little bit about Eric so people in the podcast world
Well,
how dedicated he is and what his quote is.
That's a great quote.
I'll start with the quote. Irick is a lot of things. Matter of fact, I introduced him yesterday, and I wanted to put down the words that I was reading because they were your typical bio. And I did. I ended it short, and I just said, I want to talk about the man. I want to talk about the leader. I want to talk about his heart. But when we talk about the United Front Initiative, and we talk about Greater Fort Wayne Inc.'s involvement, equity, inclusion, and diversity, not only are they the right thing to do, but it's good for economic development, right? And in the position that I'm in, it was just one of those things where it wasn't a decision. It was, as he said, we had a heart problem, and we knew it. And if we want to become the most inclusive community in the country, this is the initiative that we're hopeful. And it's not the solution, it's a solution to what's going on in our community. But when we talked about, when we all witnessed the murder of George Floyd, we all saw it, everybody in the country. And, when we heard, when we saw and we heard the words, the sad part is that most people in most communities, or some, or it's hard to quantify that, just went back to work. It was sad. They talked about it, but they went back to work. And I said, in our community, we got to work. You know, it wasn't a decision. It was that there was a problem that we were going to do better, and we knew we could do better. And it's people like Irick Headley and his leadership that makes us better. And I said yesterday, you know, when I was talking about moving mountains, and I use this a lot because I used to think that, you know, mountains would move, they would levitate. Entire mountains would lift and they would move and they would be, you know, and so when we talk about moving mountains, but as I've grown older in my leadership and as I've watched leaders, you know, they're moved one rock at a time. And when I look at Irick Headley and the work that he's been doing in our community for a long time, that's exactly how he changes our community. It's one person at a time. You know, it's one person at a time. It's that personal interaction. He talks about the heart. It's just who he is as a leader. And I think that I will say a lot of the success of the United Front is based on his passion and his close relationship with Joe Jordan. The two of them together have a vision for this community, and they have pulled the right people into the room. And that's the reason we have 7,500 people in our community that are
and 7,200 nationwide.
Yeah, it's a lot. But again, what Brenda said to me, what she just said is really why it's successful. We have the right team.
And the quote?
The quote was, "We got to work."
Yeah.
We got to work.
Okay.
Yeah, we didn't go back to work. We got to work.
Okay.
And our community, is better for it.
Well, it takes a beating heart, and one of the great parts of doing this podcast is I get to tell stories. I get to tell stories from around the state, and it's exciting to see communities when you hear a lot on the national scale, but communities that have the beating heart, that are taking it and holding hands and making life better in communities. I'm so appreciative of the fact that Irick Headley and Brenda Vincent from the greater Fort Wayne, and Irick, of course, is with Fort Wayne United. I'm so appreciative you taking just a few minutes to be with me on Jim Merritt's Indiana podcast. We very much appreciate you spending a little time with us today. Hi, everyone. Another episode of Jim Merritt's Indiana. I'm Jim Merritt. Today we're with Judge Wendy Davis in Fort Wayne. She's the circuit court judge, and we have a great working relationship. We actually met when we were on Governor Pence's opioid or addiction task force. And we worked on Senate Bill 510 and working with Redemption House in Fort Wayne and trying to get to the point where those who are suffering from addiction or nonviolent need help rather than a jail cell. And we're up in Fort Wayne today just talking about the successes that you see as a judge and really one of the architects with Lutheran Foundation to get this off the ground.
Yes, so as Senator Merritt said, or Jim now, we work together closely with Senator Merritt and some of our local legislators, along with the Executive Director of Allen County Community Corrections, Kim Churchward, Eric Zimmerman, who is the Chief Adult Probation Officer, and Jeff Yoder, who assists Judge Gall in her drug court program, as well as Lutheran Foundation, our Community Health Park Center. It was a huge collaboration here in Allen County with the judiciary, all of our problem-solving courts. So I currently in circuit court have 3 problem-solving courts: the OVWI court, mental health court and addictions, and then veterans court. And what 510 was, which was awesome, Lutheran Foundation got matching money from the state.
It's the only bill that I had that year that the community came with matching funds, and that's quite a message to the people in Indianapolis that they are serious.
Yes, and Parkview Hospital was some of those matching funds, Sweetwater Sound. So yeah, we are really blessed to have this. Basically what it is the judges have at their fingertips, for those that are convicted of nonviolent low-level offenses, mostly because addicted to drugs and alcohol or have mental health issues, I have the ability, in lieu of sending them to jail, many times in lieu of a conviction, it's a deferral program, I send them out to the 510 Project, which is a 3.5 level of addiction care with wraparound services for mental health and recovery. And then we step them down into recovery homes like the Redemption House or Choices, which are halfway houses, before we put them back into their own homes, hopefully alcohol and addiction free, but still working on their recovery while they're going through the program. So it's a big milestone for Allen County.
Yes, and I actually came to a ribbon cutting as well as a tour of Redemption House. And ladies and gentlemen, viewers, it's quite a program here, and we should have the goal of helping people rather than incarcerating them if they are nonviolent. And from what I can see, we're having great results in Fort Wayne.
In fact, I just gave you a bunch of results from, I feel the need, since you were one of the sponsoring senators at the time, to keep Jim up to date on what's going on here. You know, the program too in the 510 is evolved. This group, we call it the 510 team, meets. They used to meet weekly, and now they're meeting, I think, twice a month, and that would be the Lutheran Foundation, Community Corrections, Adult Probation, and Criminal Division Services, those individuals. And they're meeting periodically to make sure everything is going well, to make sure the addicted offenders are getting to where they need to be, to make sure the addicted offenders are following my court orders. But we've seen such great success. It's as a judge, you know, historically we're so used to, you know, pound on the bench. You're convicted of these offenses. You're going to prison. You're going to jail.
You're going to be punished.
Yes, but these low-level, non-violent offenders now that are highly addicted and some suffering from mental illness are walking in the back of my courtroom with a big smile on their face, graduating from the program, back with their families, working full-time in the community, clean and sober. And that's really a good feeling.
Well, when I come to Fort Wayne, I think a common thread through everything is teamwork. This community works so well together, and for this part of society of addiction and suffering from the consequences with it, it always brings back and brings home to me that addiction is an illness, it is not a character flaw. And I think this really bores that out. And Judge Davis, I really appreciate the teamwork with me. 510 is a success. It will continue to make lives good and repair lives in the city of Fort Wayne and Allen County and the surrounding counties. And you are seeing another episode of Jim Merritt's Indiana, and I'm Jim Merritt. Welcome to another episode of Jim Merritt's Indiana. Hi, I'm Jim Merritt. We're here with Duke, the dog that patrols Byron Health Systems, or Byron Wellness. And this is Deb Lambert, who's the CEO of this facility. And Deb, I kind of envision this model of long-term care, assistive care, rehab, as maybe a model for the future around the state for homelessness. We've got thousands of people that are homeless in the state, and in Indianapolis we're doing Tent City. I don't know what they're doing. We're in Fort Wayne today, and at Byron Wellness, and we're our leaders are proposing tents in tent cities, rather than ripping the Band-Aid off and finding out what the core problem is for our fellow Hoosiers. And there's a lot of issues that are going on here. But do I recall correctly? Did you have about 120 neighbors here? How many people do you have? And tell the podcast exactly what's going on here.
Okay. Well, since we've both been vaccinated, I'm going to go ahead and take this off so you can hear. Actually, since you've been here last to visit us, we have almost 140 folks that we serve. And we're actually actively working to move in a homeless person. So I do see this as a piece that can be in the puzzle of a solution for folks that have homeless issues. And again, it's not a one-size-fits-all. So everybody is different, every story is different, therefore every solution should be different. But I definitely can see the model that we have here being a solution.
As I recall, when I was last year, you had people that were 34 years old all the way to 96 years old. People meaning neighbors, and that's the term to use here. And it was such an impressive tour you gave, and Duke, you're an impressive dog as well. But you work with the Veterans Hospitals right next door. You work with all the providers in Allen County and in the Fort Wayne area.
We do. So as I mentioned, we're actively working right now with the rescue mission to help this homeless gentleman transition to us. We work with Adult Protective Services. We actually work with folks down in Indianapolis. So sometimes they have people in our prison system that need to have more of a medical situation than a penal situation. And so we work with them sometimes. Sometimes we relocate them here, sometimes we find a more appropriate setting. But we really see it our mission to try to help in whatever way we can with whomever reaches out for help to us to find the most appropriate living situation for everybody.
And do I have it correct that you have a wide range of ages of neighbors?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Actually, we have, I think our youngest now is 32. Our oldest is 99.
That's just a really incredible. And ladies and gentlemen and viewers of our podcast, we have Kay's Cafe right over there. We have all different places that are useful for Hoosiers. Talk a little bit about the memory care. How many people do you have in that? And is that something along the lines of a nursing home or senior citizen, or is it for everybody? Everybody from 32 to 96?
Yeah, so actually their entire community is licensed under comprehensive care, so it's licenses. We have licensed assisted living and licensed skilled. And basically all of our neighborhoods can have up to 24 folks that live on them, and we do have a wide range. And we try to partner our residents together based on their situation. So we have some people whose cognitive impairment is far worse than their physical, and they sometimes need to be in our secured memory care area. So whether that's a vascular dementia, whether that's due to alcoholism, due to drug abuse dementia, those folks will live in our memory care area. And then the other folks that we have will be people that have other physical conditions. So whether they have Parkinson's disease, Huntington's disease, whether they've been in a car accident and they just physically can't provide for their own needs. Those are part of the array of people that we care for.
Well, I was really impressed with our visit. And back then, there was a whole wing that wasn't being used. I assume it's got some neighbors in it now. And how big can you grow?
The most we'll ever be able to care for at this location, and we right now only have one location, but the most that folks that we'll be able to serve will be a total of 170.
Okay, so you have 30 to grow by 30.
Yeah,
And ladies and gentlemen, this is a new facility.
Yeah.
And just moved. How long has it been?
It will be a year, May 19th.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's inside a year. So you moved in a pandemic.
We did.
And I follow you. I follow the website, and I follow all your specific protocols and standards. And ladies and gentlemen, they do it exactly right here. And I'm proud to call you friend, Deb. And one thing I think our viewers need to know is you have all sorts of events, and to keep life light and easy. Is there any event that you could talk about that's coming up that everybody here is looking forward to?
Well, keeping our fingers crossed that the COVID numbers stay down for the state of Indiana, but we are actively planning what should have been our original grand opening.
Oh.
But it's our 1 anniversary grand opening.
Oh, hey, dude.
Mercy. So May 19th, we plan on having our family, our extended Byron family, and then the mayor, the commissioners, all the folks involved in the building of our community, buddy,
He's okay.
Yeah,
He's a star.
he is. a
So
star.
May 19th,
May 19th.
you're having
so
your grand opening.
We're going to
your
have
your opening.
Yeah, we'll be taking pictures, we'll be dancing, but we are coming upon our very active part of our season. So we'll be taking zoo trips. Thank God the ball team's going to be playing this year, so we'll be going
The
to
Tin
ball
Caps.
games. Yes,
Mm-hmm.
yes.
I bet you Duke is a Tin Cap fan.
Well, I'll tell you what, we are definitely a fan of the Tin Caps.
Yeah.
They are wonderful to us. They really
Great
are.
relationship,
Great
great
relationship.
teamwork.
Yes.
Well, I'd very much appreciate what you do for the community. It's obvious that you're hitting a home run here, and I hope you invite me back.
Oh, I'd love for you to come back anytime. Absolutely.
Thank you very much, Dan. Now that's another episode of Jim Merritt's Indiana podcast. I'm Jim Merritt, and I really appreciate all the people going on camera with me in Fort Wayne. It's obvious that they have teamwork as a common thread through all those 4 programs that we talked about today. Thank you very much for everybody appearing in the podcast, and I look forward to seeing you next time in Jim Merritt's Indiana.